They're just filthy farm animals. The HOA needs to know what you're hiding in there." My mother-in-law's voice echoed through my phone, dripping with satisfaction. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the formal complaint letter from the Homeowners Association about my unauthorized livestock operation. My name is Olivia Parker, and at 34, I never expected to be fighting for my daughter's therapy animals. The 3 Holland Lop rabbits, Maple, Sage, and River, weren't just pets. They were vital partners in managing my 8-year-old daughter Emma's anxiety disorder. "These are certified therapy animals, Linda," I replied, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "You know this. You've seen Emma's progress since we got them." "Progress?" Linda scoffed. "All I see is my granddaughter playing with dirty farm animals instead of getting proper help. I've told Marcus you're just enabling her." I gripped the kitchen counter, my knuckles turning white. My husband Marcus was away on a business trip, and Linda had chosen this moment to strike. The HOA letter demanded immediate removal of all livestock from the property, citing complaints about commercial breeding operations in a residential area. The irony was bitter. These rabbits had transformed Emma's life. 2 years of traditional therapy yielded minimal results, so our pediatrician suggested animal-assisted therapy. The change was remarkable. Emma, who once couldn't handle school without panic attacks, was thriving in her 3rd grade class. But Linda never approved. At every family dinner, she'd made snide comments about real therapy and proper medication. Now she'd gone too far. "Did you take pictures of our backyard?" I asked, noticing the grainy photos attached to the HOA complaint. They showed our rabbit's enclosure from an angle that was only possible from Linda's weekly visits. "Someone had to do something," she said smugly. "Those animals are a health hazard. And don't think I haven't noticed how you're turning my granddaughter against modern medicine." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean, against modern medicine?" "Please," Linda sneered. "Ever since you got those rodents, Emma stopped taking her pills. While cleaning her room last week, I found them hidden in her drawer." The room spun slightly. Emma's drawer. Linda had been going through her things when she visited. And what pills was she talking about? Emma wasn't on any medication. We decided with her doctor to try therapy first. "What pills, Linda?" My voice was barely a whisper. The silence on the other end lasted a beat too long. "The ones I've been giving her, of course. Someone had to help her since you wouldn't." The implications hit me like a truck. My mother-in-law had been secretly medicating my daughter. The rabbits weren't the real issue. They were just her way of distracting from something much worse. I ended the call without another word and immediately dialed Emma's pediatrician, Dr. Sarah Thompson. As I explained the situation, her professional demeanor cracked. "Mrs. Parker, I need you to bring Emma in immediately. We need to run tests to determine whether someone's been giving her unauthorized medication. This could explain some unusual blood work results from her last checkup." The next few hours were a blur. Emma's blood tests revealed traces of anxiety medication, prescription drugs that neither Marcus nor I had authorized. Her eyes narrowed when I showed Dr. Thompson the HOA complaint about the rabbits. "This isn't about animals, Mrs. Parker. This is about control. These rabbits have been documented in Emma's therapy progress reports. They're legally protected service animals. But more importantly, we must discuss pressing charges about the unauthorized medication." I sat in the sterile exam room, holding Emma's hand while she petted Maple, her favorite therapy rabbit we brought along. The gentle thumping of the rabbit's foot against the exam table matched my daughter's calming breaths, a technique her animal therapy had taught her. "Mommy," Emma whispered, "is Grandma Linda why I felt so weird after her visits?" My heart shattered. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "She said they were special vitamins. They'd make me normal like other kids but made me feel fuzzy and tired. That's why I started hiding them." Dr. Thompson documented everything, her face growing grimmer with each detail. The medical records would show not just Emma's progress with animal therapy, but also the unauthorized medication's effects on her system. The HOA complaint suddenly felt trivial compared to what we'd uncovered. Linda hadn't gone after the rabbits because she thought they were farm animals. She'd done it because they represented her loss of control over Emma's treatment. As we drove home, I called Marcus. His business trip would have to end early. "We need to talk about your mother," I said, my voice shaking, "and about what she's been doing to Emma." The HOA letter sat on my kitchen counter, now evidence in a much more extensive investigation. Linda had tried to take away Emma's therapy rabbits, but instead, she'd exposed her dangerous interference in my daughter's healthcare. I watched through the window as Emma sat in her therapy corner, all 3 rabbits surrounding her like furry guardians. She was calm, centered, and safe. Everything Linda had tried to disrupt with her unauthorized pills and false complaints. My phone buzzed with another call from Linda, but I let it go to voicemail. We had medical board meetings to prepare for. This time, the records would reveal much more than just the legitimacy of our therapy animals. The medical board hearing room felt suffocating despite its size. I sat straight backed in my chair, a thick folder of evidence in front of me, while Emma's therapy rabbit Maple nestled calmly in her certified support animal vest beside us. The irony wasn't lost on me. The animal Linda had tried to banish was now a key witness to her misconduct. Marcus sat next to me, his face drawn and pale. He hadn't spoken to his mother since the blood test results returned. I trusted her, he'd whispered the night before. She was a nurse for 30 years. I never thought she'd. The door opened and Linda swept in with her lawyer. She traded her usual designer outfits for a conservative blue suit, playing the role of concerned grandmother to perfection. Her eyes narrowed when she saw Maple, but she quickly composed her face into a sympathetic smile. I was only trying to help, she'd announced to the room before anyone could speak. A grandmother has rights too. Dr. Thompson, who sat with the medical board panel, cleared her throat. Mrs. Wilson, you administered prescription medication to a minor without parental consent or medical authorization. That's not help, that's abuse. I watched Linda's facade crack slightly. Those rabbits are the real abuse, she snapped. My granddaughter needs real medicine, not emotional support rodents. The head of the medical board, Dr. Chen, opened a thick file. Let's discuss the medications found in Emma's system. According to these reports, you obtained these prescriptions through your old nursing contacts. Linda shifted uncomfortably. Emma needed help. Her mother, she shot me a venomous look, was too busy playing with bunnies to see it. I have Emma's progress reports here, Dr. Thompson interjected, pulling out several charts. Since beginning animal-assisted therapy, her anxiety levels have decreased by 60%. Her school attendance is perfect, and her teachers report significant improvement in social interaction. Until the unauthorized medication began, Dr. Chen added, pointing to a timeline. Mrs. Wilson, these pills you were giving Emma directly counteracted her therapy progress. The side effects could have been devastating. Marcus finally spoke, his voice rough. Mom, how could you? She's 8 years old. Oh please, Linda scoffed. I raised you without all this therapy nonsense and you turned out fine. Emma needs discipline, not coddling. Mrs. Wilson, Dr. Chen interrupted, your nursing license was suspended 10 years ago for similar unauthorized medication distribution. Did you disclose this to your son and daughter-in-law? The room went silent. Marcus turned to stare at his mother, shock written across his face. What? I felt the pieces clicking into place. Linda's obsession with proper medicine, her dismissal of alternative therapies, and her need for control. She wasn't just fighting against Emma's therapy animals. She was trying to prove she was still correct, in charge, and the medical professional she'd once been. That was different. Linda protested, but her confidence cracked. Those patients needed help too. Sometimes rules get in the way of proper treatment. Rules like parental consent. Dr. Thompson asked sharply, or medical licensing laws. The medical board members exchanged glances. Dr. Chen shuffled some papers, then looked directly at Linda. We have enough evidence to proceed with criminal charges. However, given your history and family connection, we offer an alternative. Linda leaned forward eagerly, but her hope was premature. Full psychological evaluation, Dr. Chen continued. Surrender of all remaining prescription medications in your possession. No unsupervised contact with minors, including your granddaughter, and mandatory counseling to address your compulsive interference in medical matters. This is ridiculous, Linda burst out. I was helping. Those rabbits, they're just pets. Emma needs real treatment. As if on cue, Emma, who had been quietly petting Maple throughout the hearing, spoke up. Grandma, Maple helps me be brave. The pills you gave me made me scared. Linda recoiled as if slapped. She seemed to see her granddaughter for the first time. not as a problem to be fixed, but as a child she'd hurt. The HOA has already withdrawn their complaint about the therapy animals, I added quietly. They were quite interested in learning about the false reports and unauthorized photography of a minor's medical support animals. Marcus stood up, his decision visible in his stance. Take the deal, Mom. Get help. Because if you don't, we'll press charges, and Emma's rabbits will still be there, helping her heal from what you did. The next hour was a blur of paperwork and formal statements. Linda signed the medical board's agreement, her hand shaking slightly. Her lawyer quickly ushered her out, but not before she threw one last look at Emma, a mix of defiance and something that might have been regrettable. As we left the hearing room, Emma hugged Maple closer. Can we go home to Sage and River now? Of course, sweetheart, I said, watching as she walked ahead with Marcus. The rabbit's presence kept her calm despite the stressful day. Dr. Thompson gently caught my arm. The therapy animals were never the real problem, she said quietly. They just made it impossible for Linda to hide what she was doing. Animals have a way of bringing truth to light. I nodded, thinking of how Emma's bond with her rabbits had given her the strength to speak up about the special vitamins. Sometimes the best medicine doesn't come in pills at all. 6 months after the medical board hearing, our home regained rhythm. The therapy rabbits enclosure in our backyard had been upgraded, now featuring a beautiful garden space where Emma spent her afternoons doing homework surrounded by her furry supporters. The changes in our family were as dramatic as the seasons. Linda had been required to move out of state for her intensive therapy program, and Marcus had finally started his counseling to process his mother's betrayal. The weekly family dinners she had once dominated were replaced by peaceful evenings where Emma taught us the gentle handling techniques she'd learned in her animal therapy sessions. Look, Mom. Emma called out one Saturday morning as Maple hopped through a miniature agility course we'd set up. She remembers all her training. I watched from the patio, coffee in hand, as my daughter guided her therapy rabbit through tunnels and over small jumps. Her confidence had bloomed in the past months, nurtured by the unconditional support of her animal companions. The anxiety that once kept her from participating in school activities had given way to a quiet strength. The HOA president, Mrs. Martinez, stopped by our fence, smiling at the scene. Emma's rabbit program has inspired the board to revise our pet policies, she said. We're now officially therapy animal friendly. Several families have already applied for certification. It was a small victory, but a meaningful one. Linda's attempt to remove our rabbits had backfired spectacularly, leading to greater acceptance and understanding in our community. Marcus joined me on the patio, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. Mom's counselor called, he said quietly. She's finally talking about what led to her license suspension. She's been self-medicating for years. I squeezed his hand, knowing how hard these revelations had been. How are you doing with all of it? He watched Emma demonstrate to Mrs. Martinez how Sage helped her practice deep breathing during anxiety attacks. I'm angry she hurt Emma, he admitted. But mostly, I'm grateful we caught it when we did. These rabbits, he gestured to where River was gently nudging Emma's hand for treats, they probably saved our daughter from years of hidden trauma. The last update we'd received about Linda came through her lawyer. She completed 3 months of her program and was beginning to understand the gravity of her actions. She'd sent a letter, which we decided to save until Emma was older. Some wounds needed time and distance to heal. Mommy, can we show Mrs. Martinez the scrapbook? Emma called out, already running inside to get the photo album she'd been working on. It documented her journey with the therapy rabbits, from their first meeting to their recent certification renewal. As Emma proudly showed off her pictures, I noticed something remarkable. Not a single photo showed fear or anxiety. Each image captured moments of connection, trust, and healing. The rabbits weren't just pets or therapy animals. They were partners in Emma's journey to wellness. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to find Dr. Thompson making her quarterly check-in. These visits had become more social than medical, as Emma's progress had exceeded all expectations. I'm presenting Emma's case at the National Child Psychology Conference, she announced, watching Emma demonstrate training techniques to Mrs. Martinez. Her success with animal-assisted therapy is groundbreaking, especially considering the interference she overcame. The word interference hung in the air, a gentle reminder of Linda's actions, but even that couldn't overshadow the pride I felt watching Emma confidently share her knowledge with others. Later that evening, as I helped Emma feed the rabbits their dinner, she asked the question I'd been expecting for months. Do you think Grandma Linda will ever meet Maple, Sage, and River again? I measured my words carefully. That depends on a lot of things, sweetheart. But what matters is that you feel safe and happy. These rabbits are part of your healing journey, and anyone who wants to be in your life needs to respect that. She nodded, wise beyond her years. The rabbits always know when I'm worried, she said, stroking River's soft ears. They don't try to fix me like Grandma did. They stay with me until I feel better. As the sun set over our backyard, casting long shadows through the rabbit enclosure, I realized that sometimes the best medicine isn't found in pills or prescriptions. Sometimes it comes with soft fur, gentle eyes, and the patience to sit quietly with someone until their storms pass. The medical records that had exposed Linda's deception now served a different purpose. Proof that love, understanding, and the right support system could overcome even the most well-intentioned interference. Our therapy rabbits hadn't just saved Emma from unauthorized medication. They'd shown our entire family the power of accepting someone precisely as they are. Emma gathered her furry friends for their evening routine, her voice clear and confident as she sang them their favorite bedtime song. The rabbits settled around her, a protective circle of unconditional love, while Marcus and I watched from the patio, grateful for these tiny creatures who had brought such immense healing to our home.